Well, speaking of bullshit, and I haven't heard you talk about this news story yet because I haven't heard the Florentine episode the Anthony Cumia show. But a gentleman was in the news in Chicago the other night called, is it called Jussie Smollett or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, the guy from Empire. Yeah.
Now, I'm just saying, it, I'm not saying his story was far fetched, but if he'd have accused two dragons of attacking him, I would believe that slightly more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, white supremacists are known to walk around Chicago when it's otherworldly cold out, and look for a random black gay guy to harass.
But the thing is, it's like, and no offense to the guy, because if it did happen, then that's a horrible thing to go through. But if people are racist, they're not going to be watching Empire. So how would they even know who he was?
See, it's common sense like that we just don't have here in the United States, because that's a great point. No one would watch it. No one would know who he was, and nothing would happen to him. This sounds to me like he got a little bit of a spat, a little tiff with his boyfriend. His boyfriend maybe knocked him around a little bit, and then he needed an excuse because he's been telling all his friends what a sweetheart the guy is, and if he's got some bruises and a couple of cuts, he's got to come up with a story. So the greatest story you could ever have is that guys with Trump MAGA hats on were assaulting him. So I guess they ran with that one, but it really, really comes off as bullshit.
If he hadn't have said the MAGA hat stuff, I honestly think people would believe him.
Yeah, yeah, that was a little too much. Put it a little too far over the top. The truth is, the MAGA hat people here don't do anything. They literally, like the kid in Washington D.C. with the Indian guy hitting the drum, that caused a big stir. They just stood there. They stood there and did literally nothing, and they caught hell like like it was cowboys in the old west going through an Indian village. Uh, it's ridiculous.
But it's the crazy thing I'm not right wing, but I'm not left wing, and I've got like an interracial family. Like my brother, he's one of them, you know. But I feel sorry for Americans that unless you're like some sort of hyper liberal vegan fucking transsexual, then you're being called a bigot and a racist, and I think it's so unfair.
It's all that goes on now. There's a group of people on social media and TV, and it usually is like that Hollywood liberal left that is just looking. They can't wait for the next victim that they could call some kind of an ist or a phobe or something that they could bury them and try to ruin their career. And it's affecting entertainment, especially comedy. Like the stand-up comics around here, they're fucking petrified to say stuff on stage that normally, for decades has been hilariously funny. It's still funny, but they're petrified to say anything because some asshole with a camera is going to record them, take it out of context, post it online, and the next thing you know, this guy can't get a gig anywhere.
Well, I ain't for fucking afraid to say whatever I want. Don't make fun of a black guy. Oh!
He's got the glasses and everything.